All right, so can a baby have more than one mother tongue? Can they have five? Can they have 10? Is there a cognitive limit at all? And what exactly changes in the brain when we grow up that makes language learning so much harder? Let's unpack what science actually says about how babies absorb multiple languages and how far that ability can stretch. So, hey, I'm Lucas. I run a language mentorship program, and I've worked with people all over the world to improve their second language. For some of them, maybe it was their third language or their fourth language. But nothing is quite as fascinating or misunderstood as the language abilities or the language superpowers of little babies and toddlers. All right, so what exactly is a mother tongue? Okay, let's get this straight. A mother tongue is not just the language that your mom speaks, it's really any language that a child acquires naturally with native level fluency during the critical period of brain development, all right, which typically, ends before puberty. So, if a baby is exposed to two languages early, not just early, but consistently and deeply, then both of those can become mother tongues. But there is also a catch, and we'll get to that. So, how many languages can a baby learn fluently? That is the golden question. Uh, the theoretical answer, many, very many. The practical answer, two or three, if we're keeping it real. If we're talking true native fluency. And why is that? I'd say there's about 3 points here. Our first one being each language needs sustained, high quality input. All right, just hearing the language occasionally ain't gonna cut it. Okay, babies need to hear it often from real humans in meaningful situations like eating and playing and just being comforted. And the second point is that languages compete for cognitive resources. A child raised with three languages might speak all fluently, but if one is rarely used, it can fade or develop more slowly. This is called dominance shift, and yeah, dominance shift is quite common. And the third point here is that working memory and interaction patterns matter. So, a language used only with a grandparent once a week won't grow at the same pace as one spoken daily at home or at school. So, yeah, a child can be bilingual, even trilingual. I don't know, maybe they can even be completely fluent in four languages from birth. But beyond that, the depth of mastery often depends on how balanced the exposure is. So, in other words, it's not the number of languages, it's the richness of the relationship the child has with each one. Can you raise a quadlingual baby or a quintilingual baby? Yeah, yeah, but it takes deliberate planning. Families that do this well often follow very structured approaches. So we have one parent, one language, where each caregiver has their designated language that they're speaking to the kid in. These designated languages oftentimes have their designated times and places. Different languages are used in specific settings or times. Um, and then community support, so exposure through school and relatives and social settings. Without that structure, languages compete, and the ones with the weakest real life value tend to fade. What happens if you overload? If you expose a baby to 4 or 5 different languages at once, the result is not necessarily a disaster. However, they may show one of a few things. The first being delayed vocabulary development. That's totally normal early on. Just like code switching is a bit normal. That's when you mix languages mid-sentence. And also just uneven grammar acquisition. This doesn't mean they're confused. Okay, it means they're a little confused, but their brain is doing the best it can with fragmented input. And over time, 1 or 2 languages will often emerge as dominant, while the rest may remain partial or passive. All right, so we got the baby brain versus the adult brain. The reason babies are linguistic beasts is it all comes down to neuroplasticity, the brain's ability to form and recognize neural connections. In infancy, the brain has universal phonetic recognition. Okay, so a 6-month-old can hear and distinguish between sounds from all of the world's languages, even ones they've never heard before. This window closes rapidly. By 12 months, a baby starts tuning out unfamiliar sounds and locking into phonemes of the languages in their environment. Meanwhile, after puberty, the brain's language centers solidify. You can still learn new languages, of course, but you're building on top of a native language structure. Accent becomes harder to change, grammatical intuition weakens, and you rely more on explicit memory than implicit acquisition, which is what babies excel at. So it's definitely not that adults can't learn, all right? It's that babies are absorbing languages at a pre-conscious sensory level, while adults tend to learn through conscious study and repetition. Okay, and what can adults learn from this? If you're learning a new language after puberty, here's the takeaway. You need repetition, but you also need emotional connection. Babies don't learn by studying. They learn by experiencing language. To mimic that, immerse yourself, all right? Talk, listen, react, play, fuck up. You don't need to become a baby again, but you do need to stop relying purely on textbooks and start living inside the language. All right, so the conclusion here. How many languages, how many mother tongues? There's a fly on my, okay. There's a fly right on my nose. Wait for it. Ah. Okay. Okay. All right, so the conclusion here. How many languages, how many mother tongues can a baby actually learn? With strong exposure, 2 or 3. And more is possible, but depth may suffer without structure. And long-term retention, that depends on use, even for babies. So yeah, hey, you guys, if you found this helpful, go ahead and give it a like, subscribe, drop a comment. Hey, try to answer this. How many languages did you grow up with? And if you want to book a lesson to explore your own fluency journey, check the link below. And thanks for watching. And keep learning like a baby, but with grown-up discipline. All right. See ya.